This program is made to deprogram you to what you've been programmed to, right?
Exactly what we're about. You have to remember that. Look, whether we get 1 million views or we get 1, it is still Be More. Believe me, for real. I refuse to have a generation behind me not doing better than me.
Right.
That doesn't make sense.
Right.
I can't sleep at night knowing the next generation is going to do worse than all. That doesn't make sense.
Be more for real.
DMV and Be More.
Put the number 4 up. Show them the number 4.
Here, it's like, okay, we separate. But when you move outside of Maryland, we all the same.
We all the same.
Canada
is.
But you gotta play your role.
Canada is Be More for real. We appreciate y'all. We appreciate y'all.
Welcome to BMore4Real podcast. Get ready for the realest conversations anywhere on the net.
Keep it locked with us.
Elvis.
Whoa, Be More for real. Be More for real. We in the building. Another Wednesday, man. Rated R for reality. Brought to you by way of Real Explosions. Realest conversation on the net. Number 1 podcast in Baltimore. What more can I mention? Be More for real in the building. You gonna go ahead and clap that. All right, man. All right. So, we just gonna get straight into it, man. Pleasure being with y'all this Wednesday, man. All praises to the Most High, to the Creator Yahweh. Y'all already know what's up. Shout out to all of our viewers. Shout out to all of our subscribers. We got a good one. We got a good one in the building for y'all today. This week, man, was a good week. I actually had the pleasure of going to the Monday Night Sports Show on BMore Pod. Shout out BMore Pod, by the way. Shout out BMore Pod. And that's the center icon right on cue. He said, "Happy Wednesday, family." What's up, family? We're going to go ahead and clap that up. Yeah, we appreciate you, big brother Eric. We got the cup. We got everything, man. Y'all go ahead and tune in to BMore Pod. Matter of fact, we got the clip, don't we? Let's go ahead and play the clip real quick. Let's go ahead and play that clip because we got a guest to get to. We got some stuff to get to. So let's go ahead and let's play some clips real quick.
I'm gonna kill these mofos for real. Give me a chance. It was more of a comment, right? They don't do this as a passport.
But anyway, I gave y'all props. That's it. I'm done with y'all. That's it.
Oh, keep it coming. It's not the end. It's not the end. V's a legend. Like.
So, I mean, sometimes stuff like that does cause a distraction. So, had him off his game. Like, he knew something was coming out. Like, pipeline, when he was kicking that ball, something else was going through his head. 16 therapists, accusations, from 2012 to 2016. Yeah, it's kind of weird because, like, the timing of it, but just for 16... What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, obviously,
I was like, who does that? Who does that? Who does that?
So, right, like people think you just go in there and boom, one cut, and it takes time and effort. And,
absolutely. You got to really invest into it. And
right.
You got to really
Tune in to Be More Sports Talk Live every Monday at 7 p.m. exclusively on the Be More Pod Network.
I'm gonna kill these mofos for real. Give me a chance.
All right. That was the Monday night show. I was glad to be a part of that. Coach Vaughn was back in the building with Dominique, his daughter, track and field. Great thing to be a part of, man. Shout out to those guys. Make sure y'all go head over to the Be More Sports, Be More Sports Talk, Be More Pod Network. While I'm speaking on it, while I am at it, trust me, we got you. I'm gonna get on to the show. We got something good for y'all. The barbecue season coming up, the grilling season coming up. We got something special for you guys. Love from California, but before we do this, we got to do this, man. Shameless had a great and awesome show yesterday. It's a pleasure working with those ladies as well, man. They so dope, a whole host of characters. We just gonna go ahead and run that clip real quick.
Hello, everybody.
Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things.
Well, let's say names and get sued. Let's tell people names and get sued. Let's tell everybody. Let's just tell the whole damn truth.
I'm saying to the sisters and the brothers, because we're not going to be biased, because the same way these men out here cheating, honey, these women out here praying. P-R-E-Y. Period. You're not going to argue with me about it.
When they should be doing this brand.
Right.
He owed me his loyalty.
That part.
Hi, I'm Sherelle, known as Misty Blues.
Hi, I'm Glenise, known as Lady Angelic.
Hi, I'm Felicia, also known as The Visionary.
I'm Monica, known as Moni Love.
I'm Leah, better known as Songbird.
And we're Shameless Unplugged.
You know, Monica, to address what you said, what you did to get them, you have to do to keep them.
That's exactly right.
On both ends, though.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I said. That's why I was saying.
I know where you going. I was about to say.
You know what? I love what Erica said up there. She said, tie him to the bedpost. My girl, that's my type of thinking.
We're going to start reading Erica stuff. We all know Erica.
And so,
let the church say amen.
Amen. What's the highest praise? Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
All right.
Hallelujah.
I was.
Shameless Unplugged. Another Be More Pod production. Coming to you live. Every other Tuesday at 7 p.m. Exclusively on the Be More Pod Network.
I don't know if they're ready for this one.
That's a heavy one.
All right, man. I always love those shows. I always love those shows. I always like those clips. I always like those previews. We got a couple more announcements to run off. Y'all know last week we had Ursula Battle on the set. She has the Desperate Housewives of the Bible. The Old, the Bold, and the Beautiful on Saturday, August the 23rd, 2025. The auditions, she has auditions that's being held. Anybody from ages basically 88 to 80. She has it all. So make sure y'all go ahead and check out those auditions as well. And you guys know as well, this is Mother's Day weekend. So we're going to go ahead and pull up that flyer for the Mother's Day weekend. And we have none other than Ricky Shackelford and the legend, Ricky Shackelford and Howard G is in the building Saturday, May the 17th at 8 p.m. So make sure y'all get y'all tickets for those. We appreciate all of our viewers and subscribers. Make sure y'all pay attention, man. Stick with us, man. This gonna be our last one, man. We gotta shout out Be More Pod and their Thursday night show, which is on tomorrow. Make sure y'all tune in tomorrow at 7 p.m. Let's go ahead and run that clip.
His studio etiquette is amazing. Like even at 5, he already knew. Like, yeah, I want this like that. Move that right there. That's a gift. That's a gift.
We got a video for Gwen Hilton. Y'all go ahead and run that video while I pop these bottles. Pop the bottle, man.
But you get up on the table.
I want you to get up on that table. That's what I'm saying.
And you stop.
First of all, it was the facial expressions I was making. I was looking at everybody else. Not too many people could sing like that.
Entertainment report.
Hey, entertainment report.
They ready. They ready.
We do this so we can show other people's talent, and the talent that's inside them is what they love is inside of you, man. They give they point out their passion, they love outside of themselves, man. And 9 times out of 10, if a person is going for trying to reach a goal, there's something inside of them, they got to have help.
That's my friend. Like, we here. We same with me. Like, we here. We
Be More Pod, your liveliest destination. Come and join Dennis, Lene, and Joey every Thursday at 7 p.m. Your talent will make room for you.
Yeah. We're gonna clap it up for those announcements, man. We're gonna clap it up. I ain't gonna hold y'all no longer, man. I'm not gonna hold y'all no longer. Did you hear me? I'm not gonna hold y'all no longer. I heard the doorbell, man. We got a special guest in the building, but I want y'all to picture this, man. We're coming into the summertime. Everybody want to be grilling. Everybody want to be smoking meats and things like that. Look, we got the pit master himself coming in the building. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and run that clip.
Jalapeno brisket sausage from scratch. I did a brisket the other day, and I needed something to do with the trimmings. So the first thing I did was cut the meat into cubes, and then I'm going to run it through this grinder. After I grind it, I'm just going to season it with a little bit of Kinder's wood-fired garlic, a little crushed red pepper, and then a can of tomato paste. After that, I'm going to go in with my hands and just mush it all together, get it to a nice little consistency. Once the meat is seasoned, I'm going to run it through the grinder again, adding in my cheddar, Gouda, and jalapeno strips. Now that I got my sausage mixture combined, it's time to turn it into links. So basically, I'm going to run it through this tube, and at the end of that is the sausage casing that turns it into a link. And basically, as I force it into the casing, it takes the form of a standard sausage link that you would see in a store. Set that in the refrigerator to let it firm up a little bit, and now it's time to get the smoker ready. So I'm going in with a little bit of lump charcoal from Cowboy and some B&B hickory wood. Once the smoker was set at 275, I went ahead and placed each link on the smoker to let them cook. It's a real easy smoke. It took about an hour, 15 minutes. I let it go until it was 170 internal. This is my first time doing this. I'm glad how it came out. I'll definitely be doing this again with different mixtures, trying different recipes. But yeah, this is pretty cool. So I made...
All right. We're gonna go ahead and clap this thing up. Man, we're gonna go ahead and clap this thing up, man. You want, big brother? I want you to.
How you doing, man?
All right.
Thank you for having me on.
Man, first of all, I appreciate you for joining the live stream, man. Shout out to you, first of all. Thank you so much for joining the stream. We appreciate you all the way live from California. I mean, 2-3 time zones away, man, from California. So we appreciate you so much here on BMore4Real. We're gonna go ahead and clap that up real quick.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, so definitely go ahead, introduce yourself, tell me your name, man, and give us a little background and everything.
Yeah, so my name, I go by EatinIcky. That's a play on my line name. But yeah, I'm a barbecue pit master, third generation. I'll say barbecue's been in my family dating back to my grandfather, and it's both a hobby and a profession. My family does have a barbecue business as well. And so, yeah, I just started doing these videos kind of to kill time, I guess you would say. I had a lot of questions from people, in my own life who are, how do you barbecue? How do you smoke? What's the difference between grilling and smoking? So I started doing videos, and some of them, starting to catch a little traction. So I enjoy it, and I'm starting to see other people are enjoying it as well. So it's a blessing.
Awesome. We're gonna go ahead and clap that up. So let's just start from the beginning, man, so people can get to know you, man. So are you from California originally?
No, actually, I'm originally from Georgia.
Okay.
I'm a country boy from South Georgia.
Okay.
I've only been in Cali since early fall of last year, so we're going about 6-7 months now.
Okay,
Alabama,
okay.
California, still fairly new. But yeah, my family's originally from Georgia.
So one quick question I have is like, I know Georgia, the cost of living is cheaper than California. Like, how does that work out? Like moving to a more expensive area?
Yeah, it's a shock. It's a culture change for sure. I think the most significant change is definitely the gas prices.
Okay.
Obviously, real estate, but you kind of it's trade offs to everything, right? So, yes, it does cost to live. It costs more to live here, but the beach is 5 minutes up around the corner from me, so
Right.
not too much. It's just an adjustment overall. Everything has just been a really big adjustment, but slowly but surely we're making it.
Right. I understand that you also you went to college in Georgia. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Congratulations. And you were part of the fraternity and all that. Tell us about that, man.
Yeah, so I graduated from Georgia Southern University with a degree in supply chain management. In fall 19, across the greatest fraternity in the world, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Funny little tidbit about that. Our headquarters is actually in Baltimore.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, I've been there a couple times actually.
Wow, get out of here.
Fall 2019, I crossed into Alpha. And yeah, I've been working using my degree in supply chain management since then. Actually, recently been kind of transitioning from the corporate world and going more towards the barbecue world. I mentioned my family does have a barbecue business and really wanting to expand that and kind of establish that more. So that's kind of the phase that I'm in life right now.
Oh man, that's absolutely wonderful, man. And first of all, let me go ahead and clap it up for you. I gotta give you your flowers while you can smell them. We're gonna go ahead and clap it up for you right here.
Thank you.
Let me go ahead and clap it up for you. So I mean, let's just get into it early, man. What's the difference between Georgia barbecue and Cali barbecue, so that you seen so far?
So Cali barbecue is very similar to Texas barbecue, which makes sense because Texas isn't far away. And what really classifies Texas barbecue and Cali barbecue is it's very beef heavy. So it's a lot of brisket, a lot of beef ribs, a lot of tri-tip, and pretty much they love to use just straight salt and pepper for their seasonings on their meat. And they love to use a lot of mesquite and post oak wood, which are very pungent woods, which help flavor the meat as well. Whereas in Georgia, it's a lot more pork heavy. So we like our pulled pork, we like our spare ribs. And
Okay.
then our sauces and our seasoning is just a little bit more. Obviously, it's way more than just salt and pepper. We got a lot of cayenne pepper, a lot of garlic powder, onion powders, cumin, brown sugars, all kind of different sauces. And I mean, right next to Georgia, you got the South Carolina style barbecue, which is a lot of mustard based sauce. So
Right.
our flavors are just a little bit more complex, I would say, and we're a lot more pork heavy than beef heavy.
Right. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. And another thing as well. I see like sometimes I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just asking. You know what I'm saying? Do you guys eat the raccoons, and all of that stuff too?
So this is what I'll tell you. So I'm a country boy. So where I'm from is definitely a country area, and I know a lot of people that do. I
Okay.
personally don't eat raccoon, but there is a lot of wild game that I will eat. Growing up, my family we hunt and we fish, and everything that I hunt or fish for, I will eat. So I won't kill anything that I won't eat. That's just we consider that to be unethical to just be killing animals without taking them for a
Right.
reason.
I,
Now, coon, no, I haven't eaten any coon. I got some family members that will though.
okay. So now, all right. Now that I mention it though, what's the wildest thing you ever put on the grill? Then what's the wildest thing you ever cooked? It don't necessarily have to be cool or nothing, but
Okay,
just
I
wild.
would say probably deer as far as wild game
Okay.
goes. Deer probably the wildest thing I've thrown on the grill.
That's something
And
hard to cook about too. I don't like the gamey taste a lot. A lot of times they come with the deer and the duck. You have to
yeah,
know how to prepare it. And obviously, you got the southern roots. How do you take that gamey flavor out of there and all that? Because I don't like it. I don't know if that's the preference for the southern people.
So the way we do it is anything with a gamey taste, you can kind of eliminate that by using either your Worcestershire sauce or there's a lot of wild game marinades, but basically you're gonna have to marinate it in something that is generally kind of vinegar based, and probably have to marinate it overnight. So most of the time, I'm going to let's take a deer for example. If I want to eliminate a gamey taste, I'm going to marinate it in some Worcestershire sauce
Don't nobody
overnight.
pronounce that
I
word.
know W sauce. We call it W sauce. I'm trying to be all
That's good enough.
correct. I'm soaking in some W sauce overnight, and the next day I'll season it down with pretty much whatever I want. But I like to have something that has a strong pepper base into it,
Right.
to bring out a lot of those natural flavors. Pepper is great. A lot of black pepper, cayenne pepper will bring out a lot of those natural flavors in the meat. And so yeah, doing that, and then duck, pretty much the same thing with duck. And I think another key thing is to make sure that you cook it all the way through, right? So I have a lot of temperature probes, food thermometers that I'll use, and you just want to make sure that you cook your food to the right temperature. So just eliminate the possibility of anything nasty going on with the food.
Well, now since you brought it up, I'm gonna just go ahead and ask because some people eat deer at medium rare, and stuff like that. At what temperature do you typically prefer your meat to be cooked at?
I'm taking deer to 165. So a general rule of thumb is most meat is considered safe to eat at 165 degrees. Now,
Okay.
if you're cooking anything like a steak or anything you're cooking, medium well, medium rare, it's going to be less than that. I don't personally do that with any wild game. Now, steak, I like to eat my steak medium personally.
Okay.
Uh, so I'll do that. But as far as anything wild, I'm not eating anything wild below 165.
Okay, that's interesting too because I like my steak. I guess it's like a medium well. I like mine between like 145, really at like 145. That's where I think my ideal steak is at. Is there a temperature that you prefer?
Yeah, so I would say I'm about right there, 130 to 140, somewhere around there.
130, 140. So that's more like a medium rare to me.
Yeah, medium rare. Yeah, it's a little bit more blue. Uh, as long as I have a good crust on the outside, I think that's what I care more about.
Yeah, and that's awesome, man. I understand too. I guess you have it runs in your family, the cooking, right? You guys have like a business that you grew up into this. Like, how did this even start?
Yeah, so dating back to my grandfather, he actually made grills. That's what he did.
Your
And
grandfather makes grills.
yes, and my
Wow.
dad grew up helping him do that. And then my parents in 2013 started our restaurant, and the first smokers we used in our restaurant, my dad made from scratch too. So
Mm.
it's been kind of passed down, and I have a little brother and sister as well, and all three of us, we've just all kind of grown up. Everybody's had a hand in working the business some kind of way, and it's really second nature to us.
Oh man, that's awesome. Also, I see that you. Well, I don't know if you're in a restaurant or not, but when you're outside in the outside setting, it kind of looks like that you're in like a restaurant or something. Is that like your backyard or that's just a room?
Yes. So most of the videos I have on the internet right now are in my backyard. I have one that is on my food truck. So we do have a food truck,
Okay.
and we use that. It's a mobile food business. I haven't done a lot of
Is it
recording
in
on that.
California? The mobile food business? Where is it at?
So yes and no. So a little bit more, I guess, a little bit more detail. My family is kind of bi-coastal, so we live here in California. We also have a property in Kentucky, and so I
Okay.
kind of float between the two. And
Oh wow,
the
coast to coast.
yeah, and so the barbecue business is going to be based out of Kentucky.
Okay, yeah, and Kentucky has some real good barbecue. Most of the southern states have some real good barbecue. North and South Carolina. I was in North Carolina, and they have awesome barbecue. I don't know what they do
Yes,
to their barbecue there, but they have an awesome barbecue culture there.
yes.
Actually, Baltimore is actually an underrated city when it comes to pit beef. I don't know if
Okay,
you know about the pit beef and that and all of that stuff, but we have a rich culture in pit beef. We're just not recognized for it. I
okay.
guess just more known for the seafood. But as I digress, one of the things I like about you as a content creator, which is really awesome though, that a lot of content creators I see they don't do, is you actually take the time to teach people what you're doing and the techniques you're using. Um, let's go ahead and pull up a video real quick so we can get people a visual. Okay, I don't know what happened to the video. Let's see if we can pull it up. It's not doing it. Hold on one second. Yeah, I don't know what happened to the video. We had it, but we lost it. Okay. So I tried to bring up that video. We had it, but we lost it. We live. There's gonna be some technical difficulties, yet and still. But you take the time to show people how to, or well, the techniques that you're using while you're grilling. So how important is it for you to exercise that in your content that you're doing right now?
Well, I'll tell you that was really the reason I started recording videos in the first place. I took the time to really want to show people how to do it because a lot of people are very familiar with grilling, which is, you throw some charcoal at the bottom of a grill and you're really just using the heat and the fire to cook your meat till it's done. Well,
Uh-huh.
smoking and real barbecue is really an indirect heat, and it's a little bit more of a finesse to it. It's a little bit more of an art to it. And everybody that was in my life that would taste my food would love to do it and would always ask me questions. And then that'll just kind of spark the idea in my mind. Well, I'm sure there's other people that have questions as well. So the intent behind my videos from the jump was to show people how I'm doing what I'm doing. And, especially in the comments, any questions people have, I'm very more than willing to answer them. And, it's really helping me refine my skills as well, because in order to teach somebody something, you have to know it for yourself. And so by showing these techniques is really helping me be able to sharpen my skills and to get better at what I love to do.
Absolutely. We're gonna clap that up. We're gonna clap that up. And so had a video, we're gonna go ahead and pull it up. Let's go ahead and pull this video up really quickly.
Some boneless chicken thighs, they've been marinating for about an hour. And I've separated them into zone 1, 2, and 3. And what I'm trying to demonstrate here is the way the chicken will cook different based on where you place it on the smoker in relationship to the heat source. So I'm gonna give these about 30 minutes and then we're gonna come back and check and see how different they look after about 30-minute time period. One rule, once you place your meat inside, do not peek inside this smoke chamber, or food chamber, excuse me. What I mean by that, what is peeking? Do not open this up looking at the meat. You are smoking, you are not grilling. You are not cooking this to a color. It does not matter what the food looks like on the outside, you are cooking this to a temperature. So what I do on my home setup here is I have a handheld food thermometer that I will come and check the temperature after a while. Now I've been doing this for a minute, so I can kind of tell how long it's gonna take chicken to get right. So I won't really be opening this at all outside of the purposes of this video. Here's zone 1, zone 2, zone 3. And if you look at them, you can kind of see a difference in the color between the 3 zones. Obviously zone 3 is not as done as zone 2 and zone 1. And I'm going to check the temperature as well. Here I have just a little food thermometer, food pen, whatever, $10 on Amazon. So I'm gonna choose a random sample from each. So here you see 197, 136, 134. So I've loaded the smoker with some boneless chicken thighs. They've been marinating for about an hour. And I've separated them into zone 1, 2, and 3. And what I'm trying to demonstrate here is the way the chicken will cook different based on where you place it on the smoker.
And see, that's the good stuff that I was talking about. You actually being there to guide people through the different steps that you take in the different procedures. So since we're on that, what are some meat myths and barbecue lies that people swear by that you found that's untrue?
Okay. The most common one is going to be people love the phrase fall off the bone ribs.
Okay.
And the truth of the matter is if your ribs are to the point where the meat is literally falling off the bone, they're actually overcooked. Um, Now, a lot of people have just been conditioned to like them that way because that tells them that they're done. And if you eat them that way, more power to you. I don't judge anybody. But I would challenge people to really cook them thoroughly without overcooking them and just taste the difference. The rib will still melt in your mouth and it'll fall off the bone as you bite it, But if you simply can shake the bone of a rib and the meat falls off, it's a little overcooked. The meat is really a little bit drier, and the texture is not the same as a thoroughly done rib. So yeah, your rib should not fall off the bone.
So basically, when you get your rib, you should be able to get a nice bite out of it.
Absolutely.
That's still tender, but when you can pull the bone out of it, it's overcooked.
Yes, you want to be able to bite through the rib without having to tear at it with your teeth. But at the same time, like I said, you don't want it to just straight fall off without having a little bit of pressure applied when you take that bite.
Is there a temperature for that? Because when I see a lot of the content creators, and when they make the content, they, I guess, take it off at, I guess, around 160, 170. Some take it off around 180, 190, and then they wrap it until they get to about 204, 205 degrees, and then they take it off, and you can see it
Yep.
come off of the bone. So is there ideal temperature for a rib?
So for me, and a lot of other people I know in the barbecue industry, the temperature is going to range anywhere from about, let's say, 185 to 200, like you said. But even more so than the temperature with ribs, what you're going to look for is the texture. And the way you can check the texture of your ribs is you're going to want to see a little bit of that bone poking through the meat, right? So you want to see the bone exposed a little bit, and you're going to want to be able to pick up your slab of ribs, and it should bend. If I was holding this in my hand, it should kind of bend almost like a rainbow a little bit over my hand without falling apart. Once you reach that texture, that's how you know the ribs are done. And the reason it's not an exact temperature is because every slab of rib is different. A big variable in the texture of your meat is going to be the condition of the hog when it was slaughtered. So if that hog was, let's say, stressed out when it was slaughtered, those muscle fibers are going to be really tight, and there's going to be a lot of tension, which means you're going to have to cook it a little bit longer to loosen up those muscle fibers. So it's hard to say an exact temperature. Like I said, I think an accurate range would probably be somewhere between 185 to 200. But with ribs specifically, you're going to want to check your texture. And like I said, that bone exposure and then the bend and the flop. That's going to tell you if they're done or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I like to grill too. I would like to consider myself a grill master. I ain't gonna lie. I'm not a content creator on the grill, but I've heard a couple people say, "Yo, you made the best steak I've ever tasted." That's only because I be diving so deep into the grilling stuff, man. And that's actually how we found you. I appreciate you for being here. Like I said, by the way, that's actually how we found you. But one of the things that I noticed that can be misleading, it's not necessarily false, is when you check a steak to see if it's well done just by poking it and seeing the retention in it. I think that requires years and years of cooking steak to
Correct.
fill out that texture. So I think it's true in a sense, but to tell that to a novice or somebody who's a beginner in the barbecue industry, I think that's the wrong information to give them. You know what I'm saying? Get you a temperature probe, like you were saying.
Yes,
so it's not necessarily a myth, but yeah, okay. But on to the next one. All right, I got another question, right? Because you got to do both worlds. Like I said, you went from Georgia to Florida. Your family has the business in Kentucky and on the East Coast and the West Coast. So, who seasons food better to you? Would it be the East Coast or would it be the West Coast?
It's East Coast all day, and I want to say specifically, the Southeast. I want to specifically say the Southeast.
The Southeast, okay.
Barbecue has a rich history in the Black community, just open fire cooking in general, and we take it serious. You know what I mean? People, like, it's almost offensive if I was to cook you something and you say, "Oh, where's the barbecue sauce?" You know what I mean? Because in my head, I flavor this meat so well, it doesn't need any sauce. You know what I mean?
Or the A1 sauce.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. So East Coast, we in there. Kind of lost you on the camera, but I can still hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, sorry, I think my internet.
Yeah, I think we just lost you on the camera. I can hear you. I can see you now again. Like I said, we live and we don't we ain't gonna gas a boat. But I got another thing because you were just talking about the sauce and all that stuff. So we're gonna do a dry rub versus sauce. And based on your answer, I'm thinking you're gonna pick dry rub. So I don't know. Let us know. Dry rub or the sauce.
So let me ask you this: what piece of meat are we talking about? Because I think that's going to determine my answer. My yeah.
I would just say any barbecue meat. Let's just go
Any barbecue? Okay, let
ribs.
me run it down.
Ribs.
Ribs. I'm gonna say no sauce, dry rub.
Dry rub. What
Yeah,
about marinade? Marinade ribs, yes or no?
no,
Just dry rub.
just dry rub. I use a binder on my ribs. Typically, it's gonna be either mustard or sriracha, and then I'm gonna do what I call letting the meat sweat in. So after I put my binder and my rub on it, you kind of want to let it sit at room temperature, let's say 10 to 15 minutes. And what's going to happen is that seasoning, all that salt, is going to absorb into the meat and it's going to really flavor it internally to the point where you would think it was marinated. But
Right.
yeah, no marinades. I'm just going to season my meat, let it sweat in, throw it on the smoker, and I'm gonna let that dry rub and that smoke do all the flavor for me.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead and clap that up. We're gonna go ahead and clap that up real quick. Let's just go ahead and clap it up. Um, another question. And this is important too. Would you rather smoke or grill the meat, and why?
Smoke. Smoking is going to give you a more thorough flavor throughout the meat, in my opinion. And in general, whether it's smoking or even if you're cooking something in the oven versus a crock pot, I think the slower you cook something, the more thorough cook and the more tender it'll be. So that's just my preference. I'd rather smoke my meat. Getting when you're grilling something, you will get a smoky flavor, but a lot of that is through like the char, right? But internally, I think when you smoke, you get a more thorough smoky flavor, and it just can't beat it, in my opinion.
Right. Right. I, it depends. It depends for me. Like with a steak, I'd rather have it smoked and grilled because you got to sear the steak. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And I rather steak. First of all, I do not like the idea of just cast iron in the oven or over the top of the stove with a steak. To me, I that's my last and least resort on eating a steak is to put it in
Yeah,
the oven or something. It gotta go on the grill or on the smoker. You know what I'm saying? To get that
absolutely.
flavor. And I would say that, but some things can't be grilled or some things can't be smoked either, like bacon. Like if you just put bacon on a grill, it's not gonna do as good as if you let it smoke. If you just put it
Correct.
directly over the flame, it don't taste the same.
Correct.
It's not the same. Is there anything else that you know of that probably shouldn't be on the grill or on the smoker where it tastes better? Um,
I would say fish. I would say fish needs to be grilled rather than smoked
oh, okay,
because it's such a long process. And
right,
now, a lot of people love like smoked salmon. And
yeah,
what
smoked
they don't
salmon,
know is a lot of times what that process is it's called cold smoking.
cold smoke. Okay, yeah,
So when you cold smoke, you are getting smoke on the meat, but you're not cooking it. So you're smoking at temperatures of like 150 or less. So your meat isn't getting up to temperature, but it is being exposed to smoke for the flavoring purposes. And then you cook it. A lot of people will sear it on the stove, or maybe they might throw it on the grill. But as far as smoking your salmon or really any fish, I would probably say you'll come out better grilling it hot and fast and prevent it from drying out and just flaking everywhere.
okay. And when you do smoke the meats, what wood do you prefer using over the rest?
Okay. So for me, if I'm going pork or beef, I like hickory wood. And that kind of ties into
Oh yeah.
the Georgia versus Cali, right? So in Georgia, we like a lot of hickory wood. If I'm using chicken or a lighter meat, I love cherry wood. And
Mm,
sometimes I'll mix both. I'll throw in a little bit of pecan wood in there and sometimes a little bit of oak, but oak burns very hot and it's kind of it gets to a dangerous game when you're trying to smoke with oak because it'll just burn really hot, which means you're running through a lot of wood, which means you're having to babysit the fire all night. Nobody wants to do that.
right, right. I really like hickory too. So you on to something there. Hickory is probably one of my favorite, and I like cherry wood as well. But let me tell you this though, because lately I've been finding myself grilling with the firewood. So
Okay.
you'll get your firewood and you'll grill like you normally grill almost, but with the firewood and it's on fire, and you can still taste the. I mean, it's
Yes.
no that fire cook is just
I'm gonna tell you, man, it's hard for me. If I'm going to cook in my house, it's hard for me to cook any meat not over a flame. Like just to sit there and cook on the stove, I think any meat was going to taste better over an open flame, whether that's grilling or smoking. So it's hard, man. It's been some days I fired up my grill every day of the week. And I know my neighbors get annoyed with all the smoking there, but it is what it
over
is.
there, over there in California, though, you can grill all time, every all seasons, all time, all
Yes,
times
sir.
of the year, and probably in Georgia too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool. That's cool. I still grill all year round. Either it don't matter if it's snowing, raining. It don't matter if it's cold or hot. I'm still grilling all year round. Trust and
It
believe.
does not matter, man. It
Yup.
does not.
Yup. So one of the things that I've learned too about grilling is to set your zones. Like when you're grilling, not smoking, because you got your offset smoker, which we'll get there too. But when you're grilling, um, to have one side as your hot side and one side as your cold side. I had to learn that as I went along. What do you think about that technique? Is that a technique that you use and implicate, or you
Yes.
have other techniques as well?
Yeah, so most of the time when I'm grilling, I'm doing the two zone method, which is exactly what you said. I'm gonna have a hot side and a cold side, and more often than not, I'm gonna start my meat on the cold side, on the indirect side, close the meat up on there, and I'm going, let's say if I'm doing chicken thighs, I'm gonna go 10 minutes each side on the indirect zone. Then I'm gonna move that meat to the direct zone right over the coals or wood, whatever I'm using, and get that nice char on the outside that people love about grilled food. But if you start on your hot side, as I'm sure you know, you're gonna really cook the outside of your meat very quickly, but internally it's not gonna be done. And it's going to be impossible to get the inside done without burning the external part of the meat. So we don't want to do that. So you kind of got to start from the inside out when you're grilling and really get a thorough cook throughout the meat on the indirect zone. Then you get that char on the outside. And I like to think of it as painting. When I'm grilling food, I'm painting that smoke on the meat
Uh-huh.
and just flipping it, every 2 minutes or so, depending on what I'm cooking, and let that char and that smoke kind of color the meat. Because once the inside is done, it's really about your preference on the outside.
Right.
I personally love my chicken, for example, charred up. I love it almost black. And a lot of people might look at it and say, "Oh my goodness, that's burnt." No, it's not burnt. I promise you, it's not.
Right.
Internally, my meat is going to be between the 165 to 180 on my chicken.
Yeah.
It's the right temperature, but on the outside, it's going to be really crispy, a nice thorough bite. And yeah, man, like I said, I'm
Yeah, man, I'm with you. I'm with you on that because I like my chicken like that too. I'm definitely with you on that.
yeah,
Um, what I like about the grilling, and I'm gonna mention this too because maybe some people don't know. Like, I'm a grilling fanatic too. I really love everything about grilling. So check this out. It's two ways to indirectly grill the meat, right? So let's say you sear it first and then you set it off to the side to come up to temp, or you can set it to the side and let it come up to temp first, and then you sear it off at the end. Which method would you prefer and why?
I like to set my meat off to the side first and do the indirect and then put it over the coals. And the reason for that is I like my chicken hot. So as soon as I get that char on the outside that I like, I'm removing it from the heat. I may give it 2 minutes to cool off and I'm biting into it because it's crispier. You know what I mean? Come straight off
Right.
that flame. I don't know if doing it the other way will minimize the crisp on the texture from the char, but I know that was the way my daddy taught me growing up, and that's the way I've known it. It's kind of one of them things. It's like you don't if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Hey, we got a couple comments. Send an icon. He said, "Yeah, y'all making me hungry." Paul said, "Hello, fam. Hello, fam. We appreciate y'all. We gonna go ahead and clap that up real quick." But yeah, this is the type of show, man. And what's crazy is I ain't eat before I got here. So for real, I'm gonna get something to eat right as we get off of the phone. It ain't gonna be no barbecue, probably most likely, but I am gonna get something to eat because I did not eat before I came here, and I don't believe I ate all day. So it's crazy. This ain't the
You
type of
know what? Me neither, man. I'm getting hungry myself. I did not eat before I got on here. That was not a good idea.
food and grilling. And I love grilling. That's like my favorite technique of cooking. And like I said, it's two ways to do it. And you said which way you prefer to let it come up to temp first and then sear it off, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
that's the way I prefer it as well too. And let me tell you why I prefer it that way though. Because to me, it's like when you let it come up to temp, it's not seared off at the top, which allows a lot more smoke to penetrate deeper into the meat. But if you were to sear it off first, and it's just a theory of mine. I don't know if it's proven or not. But that's what I be thinking in my head, like a rocket science or something. But if you sear it off first and then let it come out the temp, I don't think it will retain as much smoke throughout the meat as it's supposed to.
That's an interesting theory. I've never heard that before. But what I will say is, so when you get that char, right, that's called your Maillard reaction,
Yep,
which
the
is
Maillard
basic,
reaction.
and that's basically that's your bark or your char on the outside of your meat. And what I will say is, I don't know if that will prevent the smoke from getting into, thoroughly cooking the meat, but
Right.
it'll dry out the meat, the texture of the meat. So it'll change your texture. So I don't know if it'll affect the cooking process as far as the flavor, but I know it can affect your texture. So you might be onto something with that.
Yeah, that's just how I feel, man. That's just how I feel. What are some do's and don'ts at the barbecue, man? When you grilling and everything, tell us some do's and don'ts. And remember, man, take notes because the summertime popping. There's gonna be a lot of outside barbecues and all of that stuff. So listen and take notes from the pitmaster himself.
Yeah, so the do is be prepared, right? Try to get a good estimate of how much food you're going to be cooking, how many people are going to be attending whatever event you're at, and do not rush, right? Um, and don't let anybody try to rush you. Whatever you got to do to make sure you're set up in time to have your food ready, but whatever the designated time is, make sure that happens. Do not let anybody rush you. Grilling is supposed to be a fun activity anyway, so if I'm rushing, I'm not having fun. Let's see. Another don't. Me personally, right? I don't like using lighter fluid.
What?
There are other ways to light your coals.
Hold on, you gonna have to tell me about that. You don't like using
Yeah,
lighter fluid?
no
Okay.
sir, no sir, no sir. You can go to Walmart and you'll get what they call a coal chimney starter. It's probably gonna run you about $10 to $15. And what you'll do is you'll fill it's a little metal cylinder about that wide, and you put
Uh-huh.
some coals in there, and you can grab a paper towel or they have little tumbleweed starters, and you light that and you set that cylinder on top of it. In about 15 minutes, what's going to happen is from the bottom up, all those coals are going to light themselves. And what you're going to notice is a very big difference in the flavor of the meat. A lot of people don't believe this, but you can taste lighter fluid on your meat when you use lighter fluid.
Yeah. But look, hold on before we get to there. My brother he had cooked some meat when I seen him use the lighter fluid, and I really didn't taste it on the meat, and it was really good. Also, we have a comment from a center icon. Appreciate you, good brother. He said, "Do you prefer propane or charcoal?"
Charcoal, believe it or not, I have never used a gas grill in my life.
What?
I told you my granddad, he made grills and they were all charcoal grills. It was like growing up, I was like almost taught it was a sin to use a gas grill. Now I think they have their place, and they're very much efficient. They have a place. So that's like a southern thing. Like I told you, down south in the country, it's like a tradition, and it's almost a tribal thing. The way that you cook your meat. And
Right.
growing up, we were always using charcoal and really, really using wood even more than charcoal. I really use charcoal just to start my fire, and I keep it going with wood.
Right. Let's go ahead and read this other comment. Facts. A center icon said facts. That's why he stopped using lighter fluid once you can see it. Now the question I have as well too is what about the charcoal that's self-lighting? Is that doused in lighter fluid? Is that the same or no?
Yeah, it's not lighter fluid, but it has a chemical compound on it that helps it ignite faster, and you can taste that as well. If I
Right.
was to have two grills set up next, if you're just eating the meat straight off the grill that was using lighter fluid, you probably can't taste it. But if I did a side by side comparison, I'd be willing to bet you can taste the difference.
Okay. Okay. So that's good information to know, man. And that, like I said, these grilling do's and don'ts. So give us another do or don't about grilling this summer because it's gonna be a lot of grilling. Trust and believe it's gonna be a lot of grilling. Give us another one while we got you here, big brother.
If I could recommend anything, be selective on the meat you pick out of the grocery store. And I understand everybody's situation is different, but a lot of times when you catch that pack of chicken that's like on sale and it's kind of red a little bit and it looks like it's not the best, it will impact the finished product. So a do would be to just be very selective in the meat you choose. How you start anything is how you finish anything, and it's the same thing applies to grilling. So just be really selective in your meat selection, whether that's your chicken or your pork butts or your brisket. make sure you selecting a decent piece of meat. You don't want anything old and expired. And most of the time, if you catch a pack of chicken wings that's 50% off and you check the expiration date, it's like you got to cook it within that same day or the next day before it goes
Absolutely.
bad. So just be real selective in the meat that you're cooking, and you'll be very appreciative in the end with the final product that you get.
Absolutely. That's underrated advice. We're going to go ahead and clap that up. That's underrated advice. Let me elaborate a little bit on that as well too. And I'm gonna ask you a question while I got you here. But you know, a lot of times the meat that we get, the quality of meat you get, if it's bad quality when you cook it, it's still gonna come out mediocre at the end. So that's a great point. But the question I'm gonna ask you is this: is how do you shop for the food that you're gonna prepare? Like how does what where do you shop? If you can give the information, if you can't, like let me know if if you can't give all that information. But if you
Yeah.
can, let us know where you shop, how you shop, and the method that you do. I see sometimes where they show you the cents per pound and all that stuff. I've watched Meat Dad and stuff like that. Like I'm a foodie, man. So like give us as much information as you can.
Absolutely. So as far as the stores, honestly, man, even for our restaurant, we were going to either Sam's or Costco's, and we were getting high quality meats out of those two places. And a lot of times, people may think you have to go to a butcher shop or something, and you can, but you get high quality meats out of both Sam and Costco's. I would say let's take brisket for example. So you have your what they call the USDA Prime and then the USDA Choice. And a lot
Mm,
of people will see those labels on the meat and not necessarily know what that means.
mm,
Basically, your prime on a brisket is going to be a little bit of a higher fat content, which is what you want, and it's going to be the choice is going to be okay. Neither one is bad. I want to make sure I say that though. Neither one is bad. But between your prime and your choice, the prime is going to be a higher quality, which obviously means it's going to be a little bit of a higher price. But I would say between those two, and then a little, I don't know if y'all have them in Baltimore, but going back to my country roots, some of the best places to get your meat actually was from a grocery store called Piggly Wiggly. I don't know if you've ever heard of that.
we don't have Piggly Wiggly up here, but I've heard of Piggly Wiggly.
You've heard of yeah, it's funny. A lot of people go to
Yeah.
that and they laugh, but Piggly Wiggly is one of the best places to get your meat, especially your pork.
Yeah, that's good information, man. That is awesome information. So let's run this down real quick. When you get the meat that's marked down and priced down, you have to cook it that day or the day after. Don't mess
Yes.
around with it and try to store it. You
Yes.
wouldn't even
Don't
try to
even
store
don't try to freeze it or anything like that. Go ahead and cook it if that's what you're gonna do.
So if you want to get those meats that's marked down, and then it's a difference between your choice meats and your prime. Prime has a higher fat content, and the higher fat content gives more flavor, which ultimately is a better quality. So it's going to be higher in price then, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely
Okay,
right.
so your prime is going to be higher in price, and your choice is lower in price because of the lower marbling. Now, let me ask you this, because a lot of people get confused about this too, and you've been in a family full of this cooking and grilling. What is best to eat, and in terms of taste, and what is best to eat in terms of health? You got grass fed and you got grain fed. Can we go through that?
I'm going to say grass fed, and the reason I'm going to say that is
Is grass
because
fed better in taste or health or both?
from a health perspective, I'm going to say grass fed.
Okay.
Taste. So in a taste perspective, you're going to you're probably going to notice that in like your steaks, like your ribeyes.
Okay.
And I'm again going to go with grass fed. And the reason I'm going to go with grass fed is because you don't know what was used to grow the grain. So though the meat may not be, genetically modified, the grain that was used to feed that cow or that whatever animal could have been genetically modified. So from a taste perspective, you may not notice it as much. I've definitely heard people who say they notice a difference. I don't, but from a health perspective, you're definitely going to want to go with just the more organic grass fed. I like to say if something ate was from the earth, you don't really got to worry about it too much. You know what I mean? But anytime you start dealing with something that was genetically modified or chemically treated, your red flags might go up a little bit.
Absolutely, absolutely. I'm actually one of those ones that tend to notice the difference between grass fed and grain fed. There is a taste difference for me, and one of the things that I tend to notice as well is that the grass fed is not as fatty as the grain fed, which is obvious because that's why they're feeding them the grains. Um, so there's that with the grass fed. But I would say if you're getting like a tenderloin or you getting, a New York strip or one of those more tender cuts, like the filet mignon, which is the tenderloin. But if you get one of those more tender cuts, then grass fed is absolutely fine because it's going to be tender, and the quality is going to be there. Also, I want to see if we can get some clarity for our people and our viewers and anybody else that may watch this content as well with Wagyu. Now you got Japanese Wagyu, Australian Wagyu. What's the deal? Have you been on the Wagyu train? Do you like Wagyu? Have you tasted it? What's the deal with it?
So I've had Wagyu a couple times, probably let's say 3 times, not a lot. I'm not really personally a big steak eater, but I just being in this world, I had to try it, right? So I have had some A5 Wagyu, and in my opinion, it was everything they said it was.
Okay.
It was everything they said it was, and like you said, the biggest difference is just the level of marbling, right? It's really, I guess if I had to describe it in another piece of meat, you could imagine you can cut away the fat around the outside edges or something like that. With
Uh huh.
Wagyu, it's interwoven into the fabric of the meat. So it's less, it doesn't impact the texture as much, but it impacts the flavor 100%.
It
100%.
does. I've had Wagyu too. I had Japanese A5 Wagyu, and I paid $50 for a little piece. It was like a nice little cube of it. It was
Yep.
$50, and I believe I got it from Wegmans. I got it from Wegmans. I don't know if you know about Wegmans or if they have Wegmans where you at, but I got it from a store called Wegmans, and to me, it was too rich for me. Like a whole steak of that would be too much because that little cube was too much for me. Like the richness and the fattiness of it. To be honest with you, I wasn't too fond of it. Now I didn't try Australian Wagyu. Now when I say I'm not too fond of it, I mean I can't just eat a whole steak of it. That is something purely for tasting. It tastes absolutely amazing, but it's like I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. And I've actually, my
I
friend of
wouldn't.
mine, so when I went to go eat it, line brother of mine, we were together. He didn't like it. So I can understand that. Me personally, like I said, I'm not a big steak guy, but when I ate it, I was like, wow, just the flavor, the natural flavor of the meat, it just was so different. Especially
Yeah,
eating it at a medium.
yeah, and especially because I followed direction. I only seasoned it with salt. That was it. No
Yep.
pepper, no nothing, just salt.
Yep.
And it was fantastic, but I can't see me sitting down eating a whole Wagyu steak. Not no Japanese Wagyu A5. But now what I will say though is the Australian Wagyu, which is crazy because you know Wagyu originated in Japan.
Yep.
Actually, Wagyu means Japanese cow. For those that don't know, the name Wagyu means Japanese cow. So we saying we double talking there. We're saying cow, Japanese cow,
Yep.
cow. But
Yeah.
anyway, anyway, as I regress, um, I want to try the Australian Wagyu. It looks more media. I've had the American Wagyu too. It's really not.
Mm.
It's not much different than a prime steak, or I don't
Correct.
even think you can really tell the difference between that and a prime steak. To be honest, in my opinion, but I don't think it's worth the price because they do mark the price up or whatever. Just get you a prime steak and save a couple dollars. It's not going to be any different. But I do want to try that Australian Wagyu. It looks like it's more media, and it looks like I'll be able to eat a whole steak of that. But I haven't tried the Australian Wagyu, and I know the marbling score is different as well too. They got a different
Correct.
scale. So, have you ever tried the Japanese Wagyu versus the Australian Wagyu?
I have not. I might have to make a video on that actually. I've
Yeah,
only
please
the times
do.
I've had.
Please do.
I might have to do that. The
Please do.
times
And
I've
shout
had
be
like
more
with
for
the
real out too.
Japanese,
Shout be more for real
I
out.
absolutely will. A matter of fact, I'm gonna have to clip this up. I'm gonna
Yeah,
have to clip this up and put it in there because that's a very good. That's a very. You got my mind kind of churning now. I'll be really interested to see in the difference in the way it cooks up.
I actually haven't came across Australian Wagyu either. I'm not a big fan of purchasing food online, especially like raw food. I'm not a big fan of that. It had to be a real renowned company that you probably gonna come well out the pocket for.
Yes.
But as far as just buying raw meats offline, no, that's not my prerogative right now. Maybe 10 years from now, that's the only way that we had to order food. But if it's
Who
up to
knows?
me, I'm gonna go shop for mine.
And the shipping, man, I'll tell you really quickly. I've had a couple of people who say they wanted to buy some of my food and have me ship it online, and The reason I have not done that is just because of what it would cost to ship it. And I just in my soul would not feel right charging somebody that much to ship, a piece of smoked sausage, and now you
Right.
got to pay $100 for that. I couldn't do that to anybody. So
I'm
I'm
glad
just
you went back to the smoked sausage too, by the way, because when we opened up this video, and a lot of our viewers, y'all wasn't with us, I guess, when we played that video. You mind if I play that video for them one more time? Let's go
yeah,
ahead
for
and play
sure.
that video. Um,
Jalapeno brisket sausage from scratch. I did a brisket the other day, and I needed something to do with the trimmings. So the first thing I did was cut the meat in cubes, and then I'm gonna run it through this grinder. After I grind it, I'm just gonna season it with a little bit of Kinder's wood-fired garlic, a little crushed red pepper, and then a can of tomato paste. After that, I'm gonna go in with my hands and just mush it all together, get it to a nice little consistency. Once the meat is seasoned, I'm gonna run it through the grinder again, adding in my cheddar, Gouda, and jalapeno strips. Now that I got my sausage mixture combined, it's time to turn it into links. So basically, I'm gonna run it through this tube, and at the end of that is the sausage casing that turns it into a link. And basically, as I force it into the casing, it takes the form of a standard sausage link that you would see in a store. Set that in the refrigerator to let it firm up a little bit, and now it's time to get the smoker ready. So I'm going in with a little bit of lump charcoal from Cowboy and some B&B hickory wood. Once the smoker was set at 275, I went ahead and placed each link on the smoker to let them cook. It's a real easy smoke. Took about an hour, 15 minutes. I let it go until it was 170 internal. This is my first time doing this. I'm glad how it came out. I'll definitely be doing this again with different mixtures, trying different recipes. But yeah, this is pretty cool. So I made.
so you made a sausage. Speaking of sausage, you made a sausage, and it's cheddar jalapeno Gouda smoked thing thingy. That looked really good, man. You got to tell me, like, really, how was it? And would you make it again? And what would you do different? Like, run us down on that, please.
So funny enough, that video was my first time ever making sausage. So the
Wow.
meat grinder I use on that, we use in our restaurant. We made hash, which is like a southern, some people call it Brunswick stew. But I tried out that version was actually not even really the best. Now I've done it a couple more times since then, and I'm actually going to add it to our restaurant. So to answer your question, yes, I would make it again, and I loved it so much that I'm willing to sell it and stand behind it. So it was great. The flavor profile was great. That first time I did it, I think I just overground it a little bit. Um, but it was one of them things where it's just like, I was going to try something out for the first time, and I wanted to document it and see how it would do. And at the time, it was my highest viewed video, which is funny. It was like I really kind of messed up on it a little bit, but nobody else knew that.
Yeah, we was worried about what you done made because that looked crazy, man. That looked crazy good. By the way, we got another comment. Send an icon. Appreciate you, brother, so much. He said, "Do you like grilled salmon?" We was talking about that earlier. But you can answer that question for him if you would like.
Yeah, yeah, I do. It's very interesting because salmon has been one of the trickiest things for me to learn how to grill properly, and it cooks the fastest compared to a brisket. Take 12 hours.
Right.
Salmon, you're done in about 30 minutes. And the reason it's so tricky is just because it's so easy to overcook. A lot of times, if you see people who cook salmon on the grill, you'll see kind of like this white goo oozing out, and that's the fat. And typically, by the time you get to that point, it's overcooked. You want your salmon around 145 to 150. That's typically the generally accepted temperature range for that. But yeah, that's my favorite way to cook salmon is on the grill. Like I said, it's not too many meats that I don't cook on the grill or I prefer off the grill.
Yeah, man. That's good to know. That's awesome stuff. And what I would ask too is like, okay, so since you learned different ways to grill salmon and do different ways to cook salmon, do you prefer to cold smoke it or regular smoke the salmon or just flat out grill it in a controlled space?
I prefer to just regular flat out grill it, and that's mainly from a time perspective. Cold smoking takes a good amount of time to get that smoke flavor because you're not cooking the meat. And just in my personal preference, I'd rather just go ahead and grill it, get a nice sear on it, and it tastes great at the end of the day. Especially if you season it up right to your preference. It's grilling it, get it out of the way. I don't really have a whole bunch of hours I want to dedicate to salmon. That's just me personally. Now there are a lot of people, especially up here in the Pacific Northwest, who all they do is cold smoke their meat. So it just teach their own.
Yeah, man. We appreciate that. Be more Pod. They said, he said, "OMG, we got to get you on the grill, man. When you come into Baltimore, whenever you come, man, we might have to get you a flight here, or something, so you can put together a nice event for us, man.
I would love to.
We'd love to have you here in Baltimore, man. Again,
I absolutely love to. Like I said, my fraternity's headquarters is out there, and it's been a couple years since I've been back, but I definitely have. I got some brothers out there, so hey, if I'm out that way, you be the first person I'll let know. I'm coming.
Yeah, man. If you coming out this way, man, let us know, man. We're gonna make sure you have a good time. Show you around the city, everything, man. Anything you want to know. Other than that though, as well, is there any other thing that you want to let everybody know? Some shout outs you want to give, tell people how to follow you and all that stuff, man, and
Yeah,
that you got going on.
yeah. So if you can follow me on TikTok at Ekevu10, it's EKEVU10, and then on YouTube it's EatinIcky. It's EATINICKY. And yeah, I'm really I'm still kind of early in this journey of content creation. It's kind of taken off a little bit quicker than I thought it would. And people are really taking to my videos. I've received nothing but positive feedback. So if people, keep giving me that positive feedback, I'm gonna keep supplying them with content and only hoping to grow bigger. So follow me on either one of those platforms. And like I say, here in Kentucky in a little bit, we'll be starting off with the barbecue business, hopefully. So I'll have more information about that on each of my pages in due time. But yeah, follow me on TikTok and Instagram, man. Like I say, thank you so much for having me on and just having a conversation about grilling, man. I could talk about this stuff all day. So I can tell you have a passion for it as well, man. It's a blessing.
Yeah, man, we appreciate you for being a part of this, man. You definitely fam now. It's all family, it's all love, man. Especially all the way from California to take time out of your day. You could have been anywhere else in the world. You could have been doing anything else. You could have been on the grill making more content. But you sitting here with us, chopping it up, having a Be More For Real conversation. Man, we appreciate that so freaking much. What I will say is, man, go over to his YouTube and follow his YouTube. And that's what I wanted to stress to our audience earlier as well. Just in case a lot of people viewing us and haven't seen earlier. If you want to learn how to grill and you want to learn how to barbecue, instead of looking at the other content creators out there, this brother shows you his methods a lot of times when he cooking them. You saw the video with the cheddar jalapeno and stuff like that. With making a sausage, it's like we in the kitchen with you, man. It's like we in the kitchen with them. So, man, go ahead over, subscribe. Let them know that Be More For Real sent you this way. Let them know Baltimore messing with Cali by way of Georgia, all that, man. We appreciate you so much, man. Be More For Real. Realest conversation on the net. Rated R for reality. Brought to you by way of Real Explosions. Y'all know what time it is. Be More For Real. I'm gonna chop it up with you, man. We're gonna catch up, man. And hopefully we stay connected, we stay linked up. And when you have events and stuff like that, please let us know. We'll be more than happy to, advertise you on our page as well. Like I said, stay connected. Seriously.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Love, for
appreciate
real.
you so much, man. One love, man. Be More For Real. Number one podcast on the net. We out, man. Be More For Real.